Hey gang, Mr. Follett here. It is Tuesday, May 12th. Hope you guys are doing well. Miss you. I wanted to read you another story today. A couple weeks ago, if you had a chance, I read you a story called Dear Mrs. LaRue, Letter from Obedience School. And her dog was writing the story, and he got into some mischief and was chasing the neighbor's cat, Miss Hibbins' cat, and just not behaving. So she sent him off to school. He thought it was cruel. It's kind of a funny story because it was a really nice place to be hanging out. But anyways, I'm going to read you a second one. And this one is called Detective LaRue, Letters from the Investigation. So this kind of goes back to the Hibbins cat again. And again, it's written from the dog's perspective. So this is a newspaper article. It starts out with September 30th. Hibbins cat comes up missing. Dog suspected. In a possible case of feline foul play, 2 Snort City cats were reported missing yesterday, and hours later a neighborhood dog was captured by the police. Although there's no sign of forced entry, the cats were apparently abducted from their 2nd Avenue apartment. I simply can't imagine leaving them on their own, said owner Leona Hibbins. My darlings wouldn't dream of upsetting me like that. Supporting Mrs. Hibbins' theory was the capture in Gruber Park of a local dog named Ike LaRue, whom police described as suspicious. LaRue was apprehended while attempting to bury a bag of cat treats. Ike has always had it in for my cat, said Mrs. Hibbins, citing an altercation on the building's fire escape 2 winters ago. I just want to know what he did to them this time. The owner, Gertrude R. LaRue, is currently vacationing in Europe. Ike will be held at the police headquarters pending further investigation. So now Ike starts writing letters. October 1. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I hate to disrupt your vacation, but you must return immediately. An unfortunate misunderstanding, as well as a very sloppy police investigation, has landed me in jail. The case involves the Hibbins cat, who have mysteriously disappeared. As usual, everyone blames the dog, without even considering whether the cats might be guilty of something. Needless to say, reports that I was attempting to steal their strangely yummy cat treats are totally false. Come home now. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. This must seem sadly familiar, because the same thing happened last time. October 2nd. Dear Mrs. LaRue, the police continue to interrogate me about what happened to the Hibbins cat. Well, I wish I knew. The last I saw of them, they were sunbathing in Gruber Park. I went to retrieve their cat treats, which they had just foolishly left by the swing, and when I returned, they were gone. I know Mrs. Hibbins is upset, but I'm sure she'll get over it. Between you and me, they weren't very good cats anyway. Sincerely, Ike. Imagine how I feel cooped up inside this loathsome dungeon. Again, if you remember from the last story, he talks about how miserable it is. But really, he's sitting there with the policeman playing cards. October 3rd. Dear Mrs. LaRue, if you really want to know why I was in Gruber Park, the truth is that I was doing Mrs. Hibbins a favor. The cats were threatening to damage her apartment, as only cats can, unless I let them out for some fresh air. Reluctantly, I agreed. Now it appears they have had more in mind than simple walk in the park. My kindness was repaid with deception. I have learned my lesson. Regretfully yours, Ike. P.S. No, I do not think it would be best for me to remain with the nice police until you finish your vacation. October 4th. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I can't begin to tell you how dire this situation has become. Mrs. Hibben is insisting that I am responsible for losing her cats. Plus, she has managed to convince everyone that they were rare and valuable. Nobody stops to consider how unlikely that is. But nothing is being done to find them. Apparently, it's just easier for some people to blame the dog than to solve the crime. In fact, the police claim to be working on another case entirely. It looks like I will have to take matters into my own paws and just solve this mystery myself. Your intrepid dog, Ike. P.S. Besides, it has become shockingly apparent that you don't even intend to come get me. As he's reading the newspaper and sipping on his coffee. This page is another article from the local newspaper. You can see the headline, LaRue flees custody. He's escaped. The cats are still missing. Just days after being captured, local dog Ike LaRue has escaped from the police headquarters. He just sort of walked out, said Officer Louis Sparky Waldorf. LaRue is considered a suspect in early disappearance of 2 cats belonging to the Hibbins house of 2nd Avenue. Waldorf acknowledges that the investigation into the case has stalled. We've all been distracted by canary burglaries. Until we can establish who has been stealing those birds, I'm afraid we won't be able to focus on the Hibbins cats. For more on the canaries, see page A1. As for LaRue, Waldorf speculated that the dog will return as soon as he gets hungry. Canary burglar strikes again. Cats are missing. Who could be stealing the canaries? Snort City Police report that 2 canaries and a myriad bird were stolen from the Birdland pet store on Flopworth Street last month. The burglary closely resembles thefts from other stores this week and may mark the beginning of a major crime spree. Investigators admit to being completely baffled. We can't figure out who would commit such crimes, said Detective Mavis Bickle. October 6th, South Snort City. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I have escaped. Furthermore, my search for the Hibbins cats has taken me into an awful part of town. Here there are cats just roaming the street freely, day and night, howling, knocking over trash cans, clawing people's ankles as they walk by. It is a terrible place, Mrs. LaRue. But by handing out a few cat treats, I've been able to turn up some very interesting facts. For instance, do you know that cats regularly capture and eat small animals? I had no idea. I will tell you more as the case begins to unfold. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. Imagine the danger and hardship that I'm in. Looks like a pretty nice hotel he's in. And that's his imagination of what it's like. October 7th. Dear Mrs. LaRue, today my investigation led me to a pigeon named Rocco, who told me that half his family was lost in attacks by, you guessed it, cats. It seems that even our closely feathered friends are not safe from these little monsters. It's clear to me that I must find Mrs. Hibbins' cats now, for the good of the city. Yours truly, Ike. October 8th, Trundlebrook. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I followed a tip to Trumblebrook Cattery. I wanted to find out if these valuable cats behave any better than the little brutes that I've been seeing around town. Clearly they do not. In fact, I was told that the only way to keep small animals safe is to keep the cats inside. October 9th, back in Snort City. Dear Mrs. LaRue, the news today is all about the latest canary burglary. Only this time, the criminals made off with 2 parrots and a gerbil as well. Have you noticed that this terrible crime wave began just after the Hibbins cats disappeared? It isn't a pleasant thought, but of course, a dog must follow his instincts. Yours truly, Ike. Here's Ike in his investigation office. October 10th, from an undisclosed location. That means he's not telling you where he's at. Dear Mrs. LaRue, welcome home. I wish I could be there to greet you properly, but as you know, I'm on the run. Until I can solve this case, I must remain in hiding. It is a situation that is rife with intrigue and danger. As I close in on the culprits, the police remain intent on catching me. Unfortunately, they have no idea who the real criminals are. As long as they continue to regard the cat as innocent victims, they'll be barking up the wrong tree. Perhaps I can think of some way to tip them off. Your sleuth, Ike. What's Ike really doing? It's at a baseball game. Wish we could be at a baseball game right now. October 11th, Gruber Park, outside of a small pet emporium. Dear Mrs. LaRue, just this morning I discovered that the very first canary burglary was here, on the night of my arrest. Apparently the sneaky villains climbed the fire escape at the small pet emporium and made off with 6 plump birds. To think that I was the unwitting pawn in their wicked scheme. But I've heard that criminals are always returned to the scene of their first crime, and if that's true, I have a feeling the Hibbins cats will be here shortly. I just called the police. Wait, I think I see them going up the fire escape now. I gotta go. October 12th. Newspaper article. Cats rescued. LaRue saves the day. Responding to an anonymous tip, Snort City Police rushed last night to a small pet emporium where they were able to assist the hero dog, Ike LaRue, in his rescue of 2 lost cats. The cats, belonging to local resident Leona Hibbins, had been missing for 12 days now. Though clearly traumatized by their ordeal, they appeared healthy and very well fed. Well fed. On birds, probably. LaRue apparently found these cats clinging to a fire escape and was able to hold them until the police arrived. To tell the truth, we had considered the dog a suspect, especially after he escaped. But we see now that he was simply determined to save his friends, said Detective Mavis Bickle. He was searching for those cats all week, confirmed the dog's owner, Gertrude R. LaRue, who recently returned home from France. I'm proud of my Ike. Even Mrs. Hibbins, who has been critical of LaRue prior to the rescue, was full of praise. I completely misjudged him, she admits. I never knew he cared so much about my cats. Are people still quite understanding what happened? Doesn't sound like it, but the cats are safe. October 12th, Police Headquarters. Dear Mrs. LaRue, unfortunately, you can't believe everything you read in the newspaper, though they portrayed my own heroism nicely. I'm afraid the police completely misjudged the situation. Instead of making an arrest, they made a rescue. Oh well. Somehow humans are never able to see the truth about cats. For me, that's the real mystery. Anyway, the police are a swell bunch. I have no more hard feelings about what happened. See you soon. Ike. October 20th. LaRue named honorary detective. Dog praised in police ceremony. In a ceremony at City Hall yesterday, local dog Ike LaRue was presented with a detective's badge and was cheered wildly for his role in rescuing 2 cats earlier this month. What he did there was first-rate police work, said Chief Detective Mavis Bickle. I'm sure he'll be credited to the force. The ceremony was made possible by an almost complete absence of crime over the last few days. Even the canary burglaries have seemed ended, said Bickle. We've had a lot of free time on our hands. Again, the canary burglaries ended right after the cats were taken back. Mayor Mitzi Slepper agreed. Nothing else is happening, she said. It seems like a good time for a celebration. When asked what duties Ike LaRue might expect to perform, Detective Bickle smiled. Well, if he keeps an eye on those wonderful cats, she said, that'll be enough for us. Grateful cats embrace their hero. I think Ike likes that job. Not sure the cats enjoy it. The end. Have a great week, everybody. I will see you hopefully later this week at our Zoom call. Bye.